Welcome back, guys. So, today we're going to make this beautiful shift dress. I made it using exactly 2 yards of this African print fabric. So, let me take you right into it and show you exactly what I did step by step to make this dress. Okay, so here's the fabric, 2 yards. And then you also need this velvet bias for the design on the front. There are different sizes in the market. I got 2 yards of this size that's roughly 1 inch wide. Then you need this regular bias tape to turn the neck, and you also need your zip. So the first thing I did was I folded the fabric in half and I cut it into two like this. So after you split the fabric in two, you take one piece for the front and one piece for the back. So I'll fold one piece in half like this, and with the folded side towards me, I determine how much fabric I'll need by adding my half shoulder measurement to my sleeve length. But ideally, I think you should do this first before you even cut so you don't make any mistakes. So I just ruled out the shoulder line at the top. Then, because of the design on the front, we'll come to this folded edge here that's towards me, and we'll mark out 1 inch this way. So you do that from the top to the bottom and then connect those points with a straight line just like this. Now this straight line we just ruled is going to be the point from which we'll take all our horizontal measurements from. But let's first mark the points for the horizontal measurements. The first one was my shoulder to bust, then shoulder to waist. The third one is shoulder to hip, and after that I'll mark the point for the dress length. For me, I used 40 inches. Then I added 2 inches to that for the hemming allowance. Now we're going to draw out those points with these straight lines just like this. And you can see we're drawing from the first straight vertical line we drew. Okay, we're not drawing it from the fold. Now after you do that, let's mark out the neck. I use 3 inches width and 7 inches depth because of the V-neck. After you mark those points, join them together like this. And then I'm going to measure my half shoulder measurements, and you can see I'm starting from that initial straight line. And then from that point, I'll take the sleeve length. Then I'm going to come down from that sleeve length by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope. I'll connect it to this neck width here. Now from that shoulder slope, I'll take my half round sleeve measurement. For me, it was 9 inches, and this also included my 1 inch sewing allowance. So now we're going to put the body measurements on those horizontal lines we drew initially. So for each of them, I did my actual measurement divided by 4, and I added 1.5 inches because the dress is fitted, so I didn't want it to be too big. Now when you get to the hip, the measurements you mark on the hip is the same thing you're going to mark on the hemline and the hemming allowance. Now don't forget, we're taking all these measurements from this straight line and not from the fold, okay? So let's connect the points this way. Now in this area, I'm going to make a small curve like this. Then I'll connect the bust line to the waistline. Then connect the waistline to the hip line. And finally, I'll draw a straight line from the hip line to meet the hemline and the allowance. After that, you can now cut. So guys, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you who are returning viewers. Thank you so much for coming around again. And if this is your first time, you are so welcome as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. So now let's cut out, let's mark, let's go to the back pattern. We'll start by folding the fabric in half like this, and with the folded side towards me, I'm marking out the same 1 inch as we did on the front piece, and then connect the points with a straight line. I place the front pattern on top of the back pattern, and I make sure that those vertical lines are on top of each other. Okay, make sure that they align with each other like this at the top and also at the bottom. I held it down with pins, like I held the fabrics down with pins so that it stays in place while I work on them. First thing I did was to extend the waistline from the front to the back pattern, the back the back fabric. Okay. Then I marked out the neck. I used the same 3 inches for the back width, and then I use 1.5 inches for the depth. Connect the points like this. Then you can cut that off and also cut the remaining of the dress just by following the same pattern you have on the front piece. Okay, then we'll come to that back waistline and we're going to come in by half an inch. Okay, just like this. You see the way I marked half an inch, like just the middle of that short line there. Then I'm going to extend it towards the neck like this with this slant, and I also do the same thing from that point towards the hip area. Now we're going to cut off this part that we have just marked, like this shape, and this will help us to avoid a zipper bulge. So I'm coming back with the front pattern, and what I want to do now is take the measurement for where the pockets will begin. So I come down from the shoulder by 17 inches, then I trace that 17 inches to the side of the dress and note that point, and then give it a small notch. Just pinch it this way and give it a small notch. So you fold any piece of fabric you have into 4 so that you can cut the pocket. So I ran out of fabric, so I had to use this leftover fabric. Don't worry, it's not going to show when the dress is done, okay? Who remembers this fabric? This is a fabric we used to make the first drawstring pouch bag on this channel. So now I'm working on the back um piece, and I'm cutting out that area like I said. Okay, you just follow the slant line, cut it out, and then open it up at the top and at the bottom. Okay, so now let's start working on the front. So we're going to open it up from the top to the bottom because of that velvet design. Then we'll come upwards by 5 inches from the hemline, as you see, like this. Okay, so now we're going to sew from this top, and we'll stop at that 5-inch mark that we just made now, because it has a slit on the front. Okay, so just quickly go to the machine and run a straight stitch like that. When you do that, turn your work over, open up that 1 inch, open it up like this, give it a quick press so that it stays flat, and then I'll show you how to fold it and sew it down. So you just fold it like this and hold it down. Ideally you should iron this again so that it will be easy to sew. Okay, so you do the same thing on the other side. Sew from top to bottom after you fold it. All right, now when you're done sewing it, your work should look something like this. Okay, so now we're going to turn the V-neck with the bias tape. I first measured out how much bias tape I'll need, and cut it out, and then I'll attach it now. So you open it up, it comes folded. You open it up with the bias tape facing the right side of the dress, and then you sew on top of that crease. When you do that, you flip it over like this and sew on top. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just feel like somebody might need it. So you flip it over like this and then sew on top of that. Okay, now it's time to move on to the main attraction of this dress, this velvet bias on the front. So I first measured out how much bias tape and velvet bias I'll be needing, and tried to determine how it would look before I started sewing. So this is how you're going to sew it. So you can actually hold it down with pins from the top to the bottom, but after I did two, I was tired, so I stopped. We're going to sew on both sides, here and here. Now this part, you have to be careful, don't rush it. You sew, you stop, you sew, you stop, because you want to make sure that you are lining it well, especially when you get to that V part of the neck. Just take your time, turn your work around, lay it flat, just do what you have to do and make sure it's staying flat and nice on the dress. And that point where we join the two pieces together, make sure the velvet bias is right next to it, like even like right on top of it. So you just keep going till you get to the very end of the dress, and that's one side. So you come back to the other side. Most times it tends to squeeze up. If it does that, don't worry, just pinch it up a little and sew. But if it stays flat like mine, how lucky are you? Go ahead and sew it till the end. And do the same thing again on the other side. Now this time, you're going to be using the first one you did as a guide. Make sure that you align both of them right next to each other, okay? We don't want to see the dress in the middle. We just want to see the two of them almost like right next to each other. Like I said, on the other side, it tends to squeeze up, so you have to be careful, move it around and lay it flat. So for me on this side, see, it was very flat, but on this side, I folded it a little. Can you see that? Okay, so now let's go to the back and attach the zipper. So I determine where I want the zipper to stop. Then I'll run a straight stitch from that point to the very end of the dress because there's no slit at the back. Now before we put the zipper, I attach the bias tape and I will use that 1-inch fold as a guide to attach the zipper. The ideal thing is to iron it so that it gives you a good crease and it stays flat. But if there's no light, what can you do? Just go ahead. Don't let NEPA stop your shine. Okay. So now I turn my zip face down. Can you see? Like the zipper head is facing down. Okay. Then you extend that little part above the dress. Don't worry. We'll sort it out when you're done. So you start sewing from that point till the very end, like to the point where you joined the back pieces together. Okay. Don't forget to always back stitch. Okay. You can move the zipper head around, like move it away if it's in your way. You can even open it up entirely and sew one part. And also do a very good back stitch at the end. Okay, this is what your wall should look like. Now we're going to attach the other side. You're going to tuck the zipper in like that on that side. Sorry, at the end. So, I don't know, this is the best view I could get to show you the way I attach the zipper. But it's basically the same thing. And one thing with sewing, when you actually start, you figure it out. So don't worry. When you're done, your work should look like this. So now I'll just fold that extra zipper tape at the top and run some back and forth stitches on top of it so that it stays flat. All right, we're done. Yes, I'm not done with the dress. So takes quite a number of steps to make a dress. So now we're going to join the dress at the shoulders. That one is easy, just a straight stitch from the neckline, sorry, from the neck area to the armhole opening. So when you do that, your work should look like this. And now you fold, like turn the sleeve area. I used bias tape to do that. Okay. And if you're watching and you're not subscribed, why do you do that? Please, please subscribe to the channel. Okay. Thank you. Now it's time to attach the pockets. We're going to place it right side facing the dress and we'll use that notch we made earlier. Okay, that notch will be where the pocket will start from. So you're going to do this 4 times, just a straight stitch, but try and see how much you can follow the shape of the dress. So after attaching the pockets, you are almost done because all that is left now is to join the dress at the sides. So I'm using 1 inch sewing allowance because I really wanted the waist to be, fitted. Like I wanted to say snatched, but this is not snatched. This is a shift dress. So just follow the dress. When you get to the pockets, sew around the free ends and then come back to the main dress and stitch it down to the end. When you're done, you take it to the woman down the street that weaves clothes if you don't have a serger like me. But if you do, please indulge. Okay. But of course, you need to turn the hem before you do that. And when you are done, your dress is ready. See, there's no zipper bulge at the back. Guys, that thing works. No zipper bulge anywhere. And the waist area is fine. Our pocket is not showing, so nobody will know. And there's your sign that you shouldn't throw away your scraps, okay? So till next time, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and please drop your comments. I love to read your thoughts. Bye.